Hey, I'm Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the Rocket Wide by Channel Islands Surfboards. So the Rocket Wide that I have been riding is a stock 5.8 that comes in at 5.8 by 19.5 by 2.5, which is exactly 30.3 litres. So for those that are familiar, there was a model that came out from Channel Islands called the Rocket 9, and what we have now is the Rocket Wide. So what it is, I think, is an inch has been taken off the nose and 2 inches off the tail. So what that means is you will get the 13-inch wide point now at 12 inches, and you'll get the 14-inch wide point of the tail now at 12 inches. I think that's correct. But anyway, that's how I try to work it out. So your wide points, the width in the board is slightly moved out. And then what you end up with is a bit more volume throughout the board, because the Rocket 9 was quite, had kind of a fishy outline, a high wide point, but still quite a narrow kind of tip and a fairly narrow tail. With the Rocket 9, I think a lot of people looked at that board and they saw this kind of really kind of fishy, fun looking outline. But what was below it was a fair bit of concave and quite a bit of rocker. So what it was this outline that screamed out, I'm a fish and I want to ride fun waves, and a concave and a bottom curve that said, I actually want to be in the pocket and I want waves with some push, and I'm kind of more of a performance board. But now we have the Rocket Wide, which gives you a little bit more of a small wave groveler, but it's still not down to that kind of like pod mod high five grovelly thing. But what you get with this extra width throughout the board is a bit more planing area. So it does keep its pace across flatter sections a lot better than the Rocket 9. I had some really fun surfs on the Rocket 9, but they were in waves that were in the 3 to 4 foot range and a lot of push. With the Rocket Wide, I've actually been to come down and waves that are kind of in the probably waist high range through to like 3 or 4 foot. This thing has been a lot of fun, and it's actually given me an opportunity to explore like a variety of fins, because a lot of boards come with some 5-fin setups now, but you actually end up sticking with just kind of one set of things and rolling with it. But I've actually found if I want to surf like a short board, I'll use one set. If I want more like downline pace, seeing what the wave's like, I might do a quad set. And if I want it to be really loose and the waves are quite small, I'll use a 2+1. So that's been a lot of fun to ride. So I've been riding the Rocket Wide for a little while now, had it for a few weeks. And I was pretty frothing to ride it because I loved the look of the Rocket 9, but I was really shocked that it wasn't this grovelly kind of fish outline that it looked like. And it was more a performance shortboard, and some of the best surfs I had on it were like 4-foot point breaks that were kind of semi-pumping. So I thought, this is the board I thought that was, and it kind of has been. It's got a little bit more grovel to it, so it can handle some kind of average conditions, and it keeps flow and pace across flat sections a little bit better. But it still has this really nice, I don't know if you can see, there's still quite a bit of rocker in the board. It's not flat like a lot of these kind of smaller, fishy kind of outlines. I hate using the term fishy, but anyway, I got stuck with that one. And if you flip the Rocket Wide over, it actually has a bit of a single that comes through the front, and I hope I'm correct here. And as you go through the board, it has a really quite deep double concave. So if you're moving, on a wave, a bit of speed or a bit of curve, it's going to keep water moving through the board and keep a lot of speed and a lot of pace. And we were just kind of debating whether there was a V off the tail. We weren't really sure, but it just is a really deep double that comes through the fins, and I don't think there's a V, but it almost feels like it because it's so deep, it still keeps the stringer kind of exposed out the back of the fin. The Rocket Wide's given me an opportunity to ride a whole variety of fins, and it hasn't just been at the aim of identifying a fin that worked really well for this board. I've actually come out with 3 sets of fins that all give the board a unique feel, and it surfs very, very differently. The one I've landed on that I've been surfing the most is when I would reach this board, so I enjoy riding a high performance shortboard for the majority of waves, and then when it gets a bit smaller or waves are average, I'll step down to something like a Rocket Wide. And what I've enjoyed riding in the Rocket Wide is the AMT by Futures, which is a 2+1, which is a twin plus stabilizer. So for those that aren't familiar with surfing a twin setup or a 2+1, there's quite a lot of fin area still in the board, and this gives you a really good hold. So it's a different kind of looseness. But then you get this release from a small center fin, you get a different release. So growing up surfing thrusters as your normal kind of shortboard, it's a much different way of surfing, and it's really enjoyable in average waves when you surf this kind of board. Saying that, I've also ridden the board a few times with the AM2s by Futures in the honeycomb, and that gives the board a really good shortboard feel. Having the AM2s in the board, it just feels like your normal kind of shortboard. So waves are pretty average or small, or you want to grovel a bit, the AM2s, the AMTs with the 2+1s, And then if the waves get a little bit bigger and you want to ride it like a normal shortboard in kind of the 2 to 3 foot range or more, the AM2 has been really good. But then I've also found a really kind of strange set, which is I've been using it as a quad setup, and I've been riding the AM2s as the leading fin. And then I've also been putting in the back the Hayden Shapes Futures quad rears, which is a unique kind of quad fin, which I won't go into too much, but I've been using these as a rear trailer, and they have a bit of a different kind of twist on them, which gives them a very different feel for a quad fin. So I've been using that setup as the AM2s as a leading front fin, and the Hayden Shapes Futures rears to have a full quad set in the board. So that's been really nice for, I've had some kind of waves where we live, they've been more of a rip bowl, and they've got a bit of a downline thing where you do some arcing kind of turns, and it gives this really nice locked in feel as a quad. So it feels very different again, and I've really enjoyed that. But this has been the one I've enjoyed for what I'd consider like a step down kind of shortboard for average waves. Overall, the Rocket Wide has been a lot of fun to surf, and I think someone that wants a board that's probably for average kind of beach break waves, but then also has the versatility that with a few different flips to the fin setup can handle a whole variety of conditions, and also for like an intermediate to advanced for that likes to surf vertically or in the pocket, the Rocket Wide is the board for you. I definitely check one out. It's been a lot of fun to ride, and I hope you get a chance to check one out. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. If you like what you saw, it'd be greatly appreciated if you could hit like. If you want to see more of what we're doing, it'd be greatly appreciated if you could subscribe. Beyond what we're doing here on YouTube, we also have an Instagram account, which we're keeping pretty active with. You'll find it on Instagram at the Surfboard Guide. And on there we'll be posting stuff about boards we have, immediate stuff about our experiences with them. You'll also have a chance to maybe connect with other people that have an experience with board that you may be interested in. Thanks so much for watching.